Hi, I'm Andy Acker, Director of Education for Schluter-Systems in North America.
And I'm Brian Bouchard, the Regional Manager for the Northeast.
In this demo here, we're going to show a couple of things. You can see, Brian, we have a hole here in our floor. We're going to pretend this is a slab. It could be wood structure, but typically in these applications it's commercial, it's going to be concrete. And we have no other access to the plumbing but through the hole right here.
Right. And in this case, it's threaded plumbing, so we're actually using the KERDI-DRAIN that has a threaded outlet.
Okay, so this particular drain is stainless steel, commercial application. So if you look at the top of it, there's no fleece on here like there are so many of our other drains to get a positive connection with our KERDI waterproofing to the drain. So we're going to also show how to do that attachment here also.
Right.
One other thing we're going to do is we're going to use our preformed tray that's going to sit over the top. So you would need this substrate to be clean, even, load-bearing, and level and flat, so it's ready to accommodate a tray. So the first thing we're going to do is seat the tray in. We put this tray in place already and have cut it to size. And if you look at it while Brian's spreading there, it does have a recess here in the tray, and these are detachable recesses here in case the plumber's going to put that drain in before you get there to install the tile. So if the plumber does that, these recesses do come off. You supply these to the plumber and they would use those to fit the drain a certain amount of distance up off the subfloor to accommodate the thickness of the tray. Or in case you're going to use a mortar bed, that's the minimum amount of sand and cement mortar that you would need to properly support the drain here. But if it's on a slab, you could even go lower and really crank that drain down. There's another video showing how you put in a flange to a slab and recess the slab for that drain assembly. So back to what Brian's doing here. This is a fairly large notch trowel you're using here, Brian.
This is a 1/4 by 3/8.
1/4 wide, 3/8 deep notch trowel is going to be the proper notch to firmly seat and support the tray in place. So the thin set we're using here could be any of the Schluter products, thin sets that are on the market, or anybody else's dry set mortar would be fine too.
Okay, Andy, we're ready for the tray.
There we go. And if this is on a floor, there's no harm in getting on this thing and stepping on the tray to make certain it's firmly embedded into the thin set, working in real well. Okay, so we still have this recess here, and that needs to support the drain flange, but also besides that, perhaps some thin set in here?
We're going to fill that up.
Okay. Okay, so our threaded tailpiece onto the threads, and there is some Teflon tape applied onto those threads already. There we go, nice and tight. Okay. Got a good seal. So we've got that filled there. But now, in order to waterproof and have a continuous waterproof envelope, we're going to use our KERDI membrane on the tray. See, we've cut this to fit and also cut a hole in the center of it here with the template that's included in the box. And that's going to leave just this center recess here free for the drain grate assembly when you're actually going to put that in. And you don't put that in until you're actually ready to tile. So we're going to set right up to here with that. So the KERDI is going to be seated in thin set on the tray, but then it's going to be seated with some of our KERDI-FIX right to the flange, as we mentioned there in a moment. So you want to take care not to get the thin set down onto the actual flange that's going to accept the KERDI. Now the thin set we're using here, as far as the consistency, it's a little looser than you would typically use to set tile. It's mixed to a fairly fluid consistency, but still able to hold a notch. That's going to give you the ability to have it flow nicely and collapse underneath the KERDI, so you can get a good bond and good coverage underneath the KERDI. This is a very small notch trowel. You can see it actually says KERDI on it. It's something that we have, but it's roughly about an 1/8 by 1/8 square notch. 3/16 V notch will work. That's just about the right amount of thin set that you would be required to have in order to firmly embed the KERDI. So right around that flange. Has a little finesse here involved to get this on properly. Always a good practice to get the thin set out of the bucket and onto your substrate, whether it's a floor or a wall or wherever. Burn it in using the flat side of the trowel and spread it out, and then turn the trowel around to the notch side for the last step, which is to gauge how much thin set you're going to leave on the substrate.
Last step, Andy, is to apply the KERDI-FIX, which in this case is included with the stainless steel flange.
That's right. So whenever we have a stainless steel drain flange, or if we have an adapter ring where you have an existing two-stage drain assembly and you're going to go to an adapter ring, we do include that little tube in the box, so you don't have to buy a separate cartridge for that. So we're going to apply a liberal amount here. And then just a very small little blade, little knife here. Spread that around. Make sure you get your good coverage there also.
Okay, ready
And
for
I'll
the
help
KERDI.
you with this, since there's going to be one drop on to the flange. So focus on the flange, don't worry about the rest of the substrate yet. Now you see that this tray is not one of our trays that comes with the KERDI applied to it already. So it was a loose piece, but that was also included in the box that the tray came in. And now you see the technique. It doesn't take a lot of pressure. Just want to collapse those notches through the top. Firmly embed the membrane into the bond coat, collapsing the notches and working out any excess thin set. There shouldn't be a whole lot if you use the right notch trowel, and working out any air bubbles. That would be the important part. Now, Brian's using a wallboard blade, but you could use a steel trowel like a finish trowel. You could use the flat side of a notch trowel, whatever you're comfortable with. Just use the technique here to firmly embed the KERDI into the bond coat, and in this case, right up onto the KERDI-FIX that's on the flange. KERDI-FIX is a urethane-based type of caulking, so it's a good idea to clean up right now. And you can see that a baby wipe works quite well to remove that. And now we have that last step or recess free and available when we go to put the drain grate assembly in. Well, all right, Brian, we did quite a bit there.
So there you go. So make sure you always reference our Schluter handbook, and for this installation and many others.
Okay, so you would find this in there. No access, having a metal flange where we're going to use the KERDI-FIX to adhere the KERDI to the drain. All those things you'll find in our installation handbook. So thanks for watching.
Thank you.